All right, here we go. Here are the things that I think I'm going to need, and if I need other tools, I'll mention them as I go. I think I'm going to need some screwdrivers. I'm going to need some of these. These are little plastic tools to help separate the body parts of the drone. I'm going to use a magnetic bolt to put my screws in, and I'm going to need the parts for my drone. I'm going to need a soldering iron and some solder. And I think that should be it. So let's just crack on and get this thing open. So as you can see, my Fimi X8 Mini has two broken arms. I was flying this fall and I crashed into a tree when I was in fixed wing mode and two of my arms snapped. So I'm going to replace those today. I've done some digging on the internet and taken a look as best I can at what should be going on, but I haven't found a video that's a tutorial on how to replace drone arms, so I'm going to do the best I can. We're going to start by removing the top part of the body, which should give me access to the wiring that goes onto the circuit board for the arms. I'm going to have to take the arms off and resolder the new ones on. There should be 6 screws in theory, one here, one on the opposite side, 2 here at the back near the battery, and then underneath 2 here. And while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and remove the gimbal cover just because I think it'll give me better access to these screws, and I'm just going to be very careful when I'm working anywhere near the camera. So I'm going to start removing some screws here. Now that I have the screws off, here in the front, this piece is a sticker. And apparently you need to be able to pry in there and get that sticker off so that you can then lift apart the body, separate the body. So I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to get that sticker peeled off here. Let's see what I can do here. Yeah, just like that. So there's that sticker. I'm going to set that to the side. Now, for the first sort of real test here is how do we get this body off? I can see where the seams are and where I need to lift up. So I'm just going to try and gently work it loose and pop it off. There we go, that was good. To come off easily. There we go. Guess that's good so that when you crash, your body doesn't snap off. All right, there we go. That part's done. Okay. Interesting. So, I don't know if this is normal or if there's some shoddy build quality going on with this, but you'll see up here I have 2 screws on this arm, this top arm. On my bottom arm, I've only got one, but that's also true on this side. I only have one. So I'm gonna say that perhaps that was intentional. You can see the cable for the arm runs through here, comes up, tucks down along the side of the body, and then is soldered on at 3 points here. It goes black, red, yellow. Fortunately on this side it's exactly the same, so that'll be a good reference. The back arm is the same thing. There's a cable that comes, runs up here, black, red, yellow, this direction, and it is the same on this side, so that'll make it easy for me to reference it. I think the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove one of these arms here just to see what the mechanism's like underneath. Then I'll probably take off with the solder and then I'll replace it with the new parts. This little plastic piece here is connected to a pin, and that pin has a spring-loaded system. So that's what keeps the arm in place. So now my arm here, you can see it's wiggling, it's free. That's going to be really important. I'm going to have to be really careful when I put this back in, because clearly it goes in a certain way. You can see that the pin here, this shaft is shaped in such a way so that it kind of fits in a certain way. So I'm going to need to make sure that goes back in like this side pointing out. I think I can do that though. All right, I'm gonna remove this as well, so that once we finish with that soldering, these arms are just ready to pop right out. All right, those are out. I'm gonna fire up my soldering iron, let it heat up, and we'll remove the solder and we'll get going. Oof. All right, there we go. Seems like bad enough to watch an idiot try and solder. All right, so everything's disconnected. Now I'm going to pull it out through there. One arm off, this arm, and we're out. Okay. All right, so I purchased new arms off AliExpress. There's lots of sellers selling them. Just be careful, make sure you get the ones that are exactly the right side and the right place for your drone. One of the sellers that I bought arms from, I actually had to buy arms twice. The first time, his description did not match the actual pieces to the drone. So he had a description that was for the opposite side, so it was labeled wrong. The left was labeled right, the right was labeled left, and so I bought the wrong pieces, and it was a bit of a hassle to get new pieces. I ended up having to use a different seller, and I did eventually get the right parts, but just be careful. Make sure that you're looking very, very closely at the descriptions. Make sure that you know that you're getting exactly the parts that you need, because as we know, with buying stuff from China, it can be hard to get it returned or replaced or to get a refund. So just make sure that when you're buying the arms, you get the right ones to replace whatever's broken or needs replacing on your own drone. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to try and get this cable down in there a little better. That seems about right. So I did notice, fortunately, for the idiots like me, not only are these matching on each side, but there's little labels, BRY, black, red, yellow. And so on the circuit board itself, it tells you what color you need to use. Now I'm going to try and pre-tin my wires a little bit. I probably should have done this before I got them Tell you what, getting them on's a lot easier than taking them off. Alright, after far more effort than I'd ever want to admit, I now have these wires through. So this one goes yellow, then red, then black. And again, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to try and pre-tin these a little bit. All right. So far, so good. Soldering iron cool down. So now, this is the part that I've been kind of wondering about. How do I put these back in? All right, so I finally figured out how to get this on. It was not easy. What I had to do was I had to take this little mechanism and take some pliers, hold it at the top once I got it in place, and kind of squeeze it over to that side. So this thing it's like an open and close mechanism, and so you have to make sure that the spring is pushing out on the way back out. And the only way I could figure to do that eventually was I had it in what's essentially the closed position here, and then it wasn't lining up straight. I used my pliers and I twisted it slightly. It was probably less than a quarter turn, and then I was able to screw it in. So I'm going to try the same thing with this top one. I'm going to put it in functionally sort of the closed position. I know based on the reference from the other side how it's supposed to line up. So I'm going to try and get it as close to lined up as I can into place. Now this one opens the opposite direction, so I think that this is probably the way I need to go, and I need to twist it this way to get it into place. So this was not easy, but it seemed to work last time. So I'm going to kind of twist this over, try and drop my screw in. I was unsuccessful with that screw. Let's try the other screw. Here I may have just stripped that out. Yeah, I'm a little worried there. Oh, there we go. I don't think I stripped it. And there you have it. All right, so now we're all good. So now, what should be the easy part, snap the body back on, put the screws back in, and we're home free. All right, there you have it. should. Now the test will be to get it out and fly it, see if she flies.